Big Bang Theory podcast from Affinity Streaming. Today we're going to talk about Season 1, Episode 2, which is called the Big Bran Hypothesis. In this episode, Leonard volunteers to sign for a package in an attempt to make a good impression on Penny. But when he enlists Sheldon for help, things go terribly wrong and get a little weird. Contrell, what did you think of this episode?
It was a good episode, not as strong as the pilot, obviously, but it did make me laugh a couple times. This episode was directed by Mark Chandrowski, and it only had one guest star, and that was the delivery man who didn't have a line. So
yeah, I looked him up. He didn't really do much.
We should have had him on. We should have tried to contact him.
Yeah.
He didn't have a line, so he may not even been like a union actor. So we learned a lot about the other characters in this episode though, but I enjoyed it. It wasn't as strong as the pilot, but it was entertaining.
I agree with you. The pilot was definitely better. This was a little more toned down, but it still, I think, was like a good, like, let's get to know how weird these characters are kind of thing. Like, just a bit more about their personality and allow the characters to grow some more. When I was watching, I thought of a question for you right from the opening scene where they're talking about Superman. They're going to watch a Superman movie marathon. They're inviting Penny to go over and do this, and Sheldon's ruining the movie by how all the physics and inaccuracies are with it. But since Contrell worked at a comic store for many years, I wanted to know if he knew if there's any reference to Kryptonian skin cells in any comic books you've read.
Actually, there are. I guess Sheldon's point was that he can fly at night because his skin cells absorb the solar power during the day. Yeah, so that's true.
It's true.
That's a fact. I mean, yeah, like even when when Superman died, he just needed time to regenerate. Needed time to for his cells to. So Sheldon was correct.
So facts. Okay,
but that was I had that down as a cringy. One of two cringy moments where I was just like, oh my God, a real person would have walked away from them. That Superman
she did walk away eventually.
She did walk away. Yeah, that Superman discussion was just...
the pretty lady's gone.
Yeah,
that was cringe. Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of cringe in this episode because obviously them being in her apartment while she's sleeping, cleaning, so cringeworthy. And also at the end, when they're assembling the IKEA furniture piece, and Howard's like, "Quiet, honey, men are working." I was just like, no, you could not just say that. Gross.
Also Howard speaking Russian.
Ты очень красивая девушка.
I'm sorry?
Haven't you ever been told how beautiful you are in flawless Russian?
No, I haven't.
Get used to it.
Yeah, I probably won't. Hey, Sheldon.
Hi.
Hey, Raj.
At the beginning of that episode was so just cringe moment. Howard is leading in cringe moments right now. I think he has 3-0 for everybody else.
Howard will constantly be winning in cringe moments, as you will see. He's, the king of cringe, that's for sure.
One thing we learned about Howard in this episode, too, is that he was allergic to peanuts. That was...
yes, and Sheldon's allergic to bees.
And Sheldon is allergic to bees, correct.
Yeah,
Howard
so we learned some things. Yep. Something from last episode that we talked about, since we're talking about the characters a little... Kaylee Kuko, we didn't know what she did last time, and I promised you I would come back with some info. So, upon looking her up, turns out she's actually a nationally ranked amateur tennis player. So that was not expecting that at all.
Impressive.
Right? And she does a lot of horseback riding as well. She's into all that stuff. Yeah.
So she grew up rich, horseback riding and playing tennis, is what you're saying.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Sounds about right. Yeah. But her big like breakthrough role was on 8 Simple Rules, which I didn't watch, but she played the character Bridget Hennessy. So that's where she got her breakout, even though she did a bunch of things before that.
8 Simple Rules. Was that?
It was on ABC, I think.
Was that John Ritter?
I never watched.
Oh, okay.
I really never watched.
All right.
And the other person that we talked about last time was Kurt, which is Penny's boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, who will come up again a couple times. But he is a personal trainer, as you can see from his aesthetic. And his, like, the main role he's known for, which I also never watched, was Captain Craig Schwait on a miniseries called Generation Kill. But he actually had a lot of, like, random guest appearances in a lot of shows I've seen, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or anyone where they kind of need a big dude to be a character. He had a lot of, like, appearances on different shows. So he's been around, kind of does these random things.
Kurt. Congrats, Kurt. Cool. Nice to know.
Yeah, good job.
Wait, that's not his name. That's the name of the show, right, Kurt?
Yeah, that's the name of the show.
Okay.
What was his real name?
Brian Michael or something.
Brian Patrick Wade.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
that's it. Good job.
I got that brain there. So, something else I really enjoyed from this episode is they move up the furniture from the staircase, and Sheldon discovers how much of a mess Penny's apartment is. And yes, he's very bothered by this because he's OCD and everything. So in the middle of the night, he sneaks over. But the scene where Leonard comes out of his bedroom with the lightsaber, like he's like ready to fight something. I'm just like, okay, nice.
And that led up to one of my favorite, when they were actually in the apartment and he was like shushing Leonard. He was like, shh, she's sleeping. I just thought that was so funny for some reason. I don't know why, but that was Sheldon.
It was so funny. And his facial expressions. I'm gonna say that all the time.
And Sheldon's Superman shirt, representing once again. Flash and Superman back to back.
Where's your Superman? Give him a special appearance here.
Superman is here. Here he is.
There he is. Look at him.
It's always Superman.
Hanging out, watching over you.
Watching over me. With his
also
skin cells. With his solar skin cells.
Yes. In that scene, when they start talking in a lower register.
To speak in a lower register? What? Evolution has made women sensitive to high-pitched noises while they sleep so that they'll be roused by a crying baby. If you want to avoid waking her, speak in a lower register. That's ridiculous. No. That's ridiculous.
That just cracked me up as well.
Yes.
It's like, talking so deep. It's like, okay.
That was dumb. Yeah, that was great.
It was dumb, but like, well done. Something that you probably wouldn't have noticed about this episode that I found after watching the entire series and then watching this one, you will find out in the future that Sheldon uses a classic Sheldon knock, which is like 3 knocks in a row. So normally he would be like, Penny. But he didn't do that in this episode when he knocked on the door. So that's like very weird after watching the whole series and then watching it back. It's like, I guess the writers or whoever thought of that after the fact and didn't incorporate it into this episode.
So I'm guessing he's going to be knocking on her door a lot during this.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. I mean, you could anticipate that, can't you?
Yes.
Right? One other moment that was cracking me up just because I enjoy sarcasm so much was like the whole sequence where Sheldon's like, oh, was that sarcasm? Like, oh, this. And then at the very end, when Penny comes over and says it, and Leonard just like pulls up a sign that says sarcasm on it. Like, oh yeah, that's good.
That was one of my favorite scenes also. And I think right before that he was explaining to Penny what a throat doctor was, like to help her with her snoring.
Yeah,
that was great.
And then what kind of doctor removes shoes from people's asses?
Yeah.
He's like, well, depending on the depth. It's like he takes so seriously, but it's so funny.
He's
good.
Good. Star of the show, man. And I see why he's the star of the show.
I looked up when they were auditioning for him, and they originally had Johnny Galecki, who plays Leonard. They thought he would be Sheldon, but then Jim Parsons came in, and they were like, he killed the audition so good that they actually like brought him back the next day because they like were like, that just had to be a fluke. Like, he can't be that good all the time. And then like the second day he killed it again, and they were like, yep, you're Sheldon. It's done.
Nice. That must be like the hardest thing to be a casting agent. Like, I feel like I would screw it up every time.
And you're like committed to this now, so it's like, here we go.
Can't really fire him, I guess. Now, I will get to mention my favorite Howard scene. Howard is becoming my like second favorite character right now. When he was doing the Dance Revolution, he was like, "You got served." I just that was my favorite moment of that episode.
Yeah, he's so good. Like, you'll see in the future, he has so many skills as an actor. It's like shocking. The accents, the languages, like everything he can do. Obviously a little dancing. He's so good. But so creepy.
I need to look up a picture of him to see if that's his real hair, because that hair is ridiculous. That can't possibly be the way he walks around life with that hair.
No, it's not. Okay. It's not. He has it styled like much more like to the side and down. He's French or something, I think. Okay. He looks much better. It's not real. Neither is Leonard's hair. He styles it differently in real life.
All right, we'll put pictures up on the
YouTube. We'll put up pictures, the comparison side by side.
Yeah. Nice.
All right.
So wait, I got one more rude Sheldon moment.
Okay.
I don't remember who he was talking to, but he was like, "Did your imaginary girlfriend break up with you?" I don't remember who he said that to, but
Howard was like, why is Leonard in such a bad mood? And he was like, oh, his imaginary girlfriend broke up with him. And Howard's like, yeah, been there.
Yeah, that was my rude Sheldon moment. He was great though.
Yeah, he's good. He's good. Did any of your imaginary girlfriends ever break up with you?
I broke up with them all the time.
Ah, okay. Okay. Yeah. You were the heartbreaker. Got it.
I was the heartbreaker. I was trying to take after you, you know?
Yeah, I know. What can I say? All right. You got any shout outs from this episode? Anything in the episode you want to shout out?
I not really, but I wanted to like just say some things I learned from this episode. Like,
okay.
Leonard has a comic book collection, which was very near and dear to my heart as a ex comic book person.
I'm
still a comic book person. I know, right?
Do you have as many as him?
I triple, quadrupled, 2,600. Okay. Come on, get out of here with that.
Okay,
that's like when I was 13, I had 2,600. Penny mentioned that her sister accidentally shot her husband, which was an interesting factoid to throw in there.
Yes.
And then Roger's thing was his parents used to sing to him as a baby and wanted him to marry an Indian girl. Those are just like the few things I liked from this episode that we learned about the characters.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting talking with someone who's seeing it for the first time because I know like everything about them pretty much at this point, but yeah, you'll learn a lot as we go. I have a one shout out in the episode when they were building the furniture and Howard is just really trash talking. Like they never actually say IKEA, but it's clear they're like this Swedish brand, and he's like, well, this is the least imaginative way to design this piece of furniture, TV stand. And he's like, this is why Sweden doesn't have a space program, like just going on about it. I was just like enjoying the subtle shade towards IKEA. Like, all right.
Nice. Yeah. But we probably all have IKEA in our houses. I'm sure I have.
Yeah, something. But you know, like you can't take it apart. Like once it's made, you can't take it apart again. It won't go back together.
Nice. Awesome.
All right.
All right.
Well,
on to episode 3. That's it.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Next week, we'll be here with episode 3 and hope you keep enjoying. See you then.
Bye.